All right, here we go. We're going to start using the distance formula. Again, if you don't have this in your notes, the distance formula, you need to make sure that it is in your notes right now. You need to copy it really nice and neat and clearly, remembering that these are always negatives, they're minus, and this is definitely a plus sign. And don't forget these little square twos. So you should have that in your notes, and we're going to go ahead and start. It says, what is the distance between points P, 3, 2, and Q, 6, 6 to the nearest tenth? We'll talk about that, what that looks like soon. First thing we're going to do is write this down in the formula. We're going to plug it in. So we have D equals, don't forget to write this every time, the square root. And then we have x1, it says right here. x1, we can say that this is x1 right here. 3, and it says minus x2. Here's x2, and that can be 6. All right, so then you have it squared plus, make sure that's a plus sign, and then you have 2, which is our y value, y1, and y2 right here. So minus, and then y2 is going to be 6. Squared. So now we go on down to our next one, and we have an equal sign, and we have 3 minus 6. 3 minus 6 is negative 3 squared plus, and then we have 2 minus 6, which is negative 4 squared, which will equal, when we square something, and you can do this on your calculator if you don't know how to do it with negative numbers, it's always going to end up positive if you square something. So this is actually going to be positive 9 plus positive 16. That equals 25, and if you type in the square root of 25 in your calculator, you are going to end up with 5. So that makes it easy as far as the nearest tenth. I didn't have to round. My answer is just 5. But let's say that my answer was, I don't know, let's just pretend it was 4.835 7, something like that, kept going. So if it says nearest tenth, that's referring to this is the nearest tenth. It goes from the decimal point. This is the nearest tenth, hundredth, thousandth. So 10. And then this one's 100. And this one's 1,000. And they just get more and more zeros each time. So if it says tenth, that's going to be the tenth, like that. So I want it to this decimal. So in order to decide where I end up here, I actually have to look at the next one. If it is 4 or below, it stays the same. You just keep it as 8. But if it's 5 or above, then it goes to 4.9. So let's do another example with that. Let's see here. Okay, let's try this. Let's try rounding 3.862. Let's try rounding that to the nearest tenth. Go ahead and try it. This is the nearest tenth. I have to look at this number. This is bigger than 5, so I'm going to, or 5 or bigger, I'm going to make it 3.9. And that's going to be my final answer. If it was 3.85, this 5 would make it go up to 3.9. If it was 3.84, it would still be 3.8. Those are your two options, 3.9 or 3.8. Anything 5 or above will make it go up. Anything 4 or below makes it stay the same. All right. I'm going to have you try the next distance formula one on your own. Well, let me show you what the problem is first. Let's see. Let's make sure we're on the same page. Here's your next one. This time it's going to be the distance between H and K. So go ahead and do this next problem. H and K, -4, 5, 7, -2. on your own and only play this. So pause the video and only play it when you're done. All right, if you're playing this video right now, I assume you've already done this problem and you're only double checking. You want to write down your work to this problem. So let's go ahead and plug this in. So we label this x1, y1, and then x2, y2. We can just plug these in. We can put x1 in for that, so that's going to be 4 minus 7. Oh, it's -4. Watch out for that. We have to remember that. So -4 minus 7 squared plus y1, which is 5 minus -2 squared. Okay? So that's going to be tricky. We'll have to deal with that. So now we've got -4 minus 7. Believe it or not, and you can try this in your calculator, it's going to be -11 squared plus, and then we have 5 minus -2. When you subtract a negative, it turns into adding positive. So you're actually going to add 5 and 2 and get 7 squared. Then you're going to end up with 11 squared, which is 121 plus 49. If you didn't know that and couldn't do that in your head, don't worry. You can do it in your calculator. The next thing you're going to do is add these together. So 120 plus 50 is 170, and I, of course, moved this one over there. Anyway, you can do that in your calculator too. I don't know the square root of 170 off the top of my head, but I know I'm going to have to round it to the nearest tenth. So let me plug this into my calculator, and I get something that looks like this. 13.038404, and it keeps going, okay? So I want to round it to the nearest tenth. Don't forget that. This is my nearest tenth. So I got to look at this one. This is below 5, therefore I'm just going to keep it at 13.0. So my final answer is 13.0. Okay? All right, there you go. If you're still unsure, go ahead and do these practices a couple more times on scratch paper. Otherwise, you should be ready to take your test. Again, if you need to watch any of these videos again, go for it. Otherwise, ask Mrs. Kipp for your test now.